One. All right, guys. So here we are again for the second podcast of the week. Of the month actually. Here's my friend Dan.
What up?
So yeah, man. Let's get to it. Oh, before we start, man, I wanna tell people that if they've been enjoying watching the podcast and stuff like that, if you can please like it and subscribe, that would help us a lot. So yeah, that's I just wanted to get that out of the way, man. So where you been playing lately, man?
Still working on Outriders and working on FF6, and I started getting back into Ghost of Tsushima a little bit. Like that game, didn't get to finish it. You ever started a game and you never really got to finish it, so you start to
Yeah,
get back into it, and you're just like, oh, okay, you know what? Let me just restart and kind of replay through, and that's pretty much what I did.
yeah, man. I'm not doing that anymore, man. Like starting a game and like just putting it away, man. I think that's like something with the ages, man, because I'm a little bit older now. But like
A
before
lot,
I would. Mhm.
yeah, a lot of times I'll shove things in my backlog and then never play it again. But this one was kind of like I have the game, I spent money on the game, so I'm gonna
Ghost of
play it
Tsushima, right?
eventually. What?
Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
good. It's a video game. Like I think the problem with it, the reason why I guess it didn't stick the first time, is I played it like right after The Last of Us Part Two,
Yeah.
and that game was so brutal and tough. And this one was a lot more, I mean, maybe not a lot more, but a little bit more light in content. So I just kind of like, you know, it was kind of the wrong game to play after The Last of Us 2, I guess.
Wait, so you're saying The Last of Us 2 is more difficult in terms of gameplay, or?
No, I'm saying that the content of Last of Us 2 is dark and
Oh,
heavy.
that's what I
Yeah.
heard. And this
Yeah,
one is
it's
like Ghost of Tsushima, is very chilled back type of game, right?
yeah, it's a samurai game. It's I guess some people compare it to Sekiro, which is the From Software game, but
Yeah.
it's pretty good. I mean, it's a PS4 exclusive. I guess Sucker Punch made it. It's a very very solid game. It's got a lot of good mechanics. Kind of reminds me a little bit of like, it's more in line of like the PS4 exclusives like God of War and like
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Oh, that's cool, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, I haven't, it's on sale right now. I know they have like a massive sale going on right now. I
I think
saw
it's
it.
worth it.
Yeah, I saw it, but I'm working on Resident Evil 2, the remake, man. Have you played that one?
No, not yet. Everyone tells me it's very good.
So good, man. I
Yeah.
think it's like I started like I have the videos on the channel, but yeah, man, it's if you did you play the original one, the second one?
And like whenever it came out on
Yeah,
what PS1 or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah, it's not the Resident Evil series is something I enjoy, but also like if it gets too, I don't know how you feel about scary games, but like if it gets kind of too real, like Resident Evil 7 felt like just kind of it felt more like I was in Saw, you know what I
yeah,
mean? And that can be kind of uncomfortable.
yeah. Now this one, man, this one is like they did like when they remake games, sometimes they don't do them well. This one is just like it's just super high quality, man. My only complaint I would say is like it's a little bit too dark. Like not
Like
the
the light is too dark.
yeah, the light, man.
And do they
Sometimes
have anything in the settings to like fix that?
you can, but it's still not that
Yeah.
good. But it's a fun game, man. I'm still at the police station right now, but it's really fun, man. They did a fucking good job, man, on that
I
game.
you know what's interesting is like I have sort of mixed feelings about remakes. Like on one hand, I love the idea of bringing things into a new generation and like you know bring it to like it's the best glory it can possibly attain. On the other hand, like a lot of times these companies that make these games can kind of get a little cute with it, and they
Yeah,
can like change the story around and like change a lot of things that made that first game unique. Like if you've ever played Dark Souls today, that game looks kind of different from the original Dark Souls. And
Really?
if you played FF7 Remake, you're definitely not getting anything close to resembling the original Final Fantasy VII.
What
So
happened, man?
it's definitely a balance.
Do they butcher the FF7?
We could probably do a whole podcast on that one, without like like to spoil anything or whatever. They really only go into what would be the content of about the first 7 hours of Final Fantasy VII, the original Final Fantasy VII, and then they add in a lot of different content that's kind of acts as a little bit of filler. Some of it works and some of it
Fan
doesn't. But
service?
what's that?
The fan service, whatever it's called.
Yeah, and then there is a lot of fan service where like that's always a difficult part of remaking games too, where it's like, do you cater to just fans or do you want to add in content to make it feel like if I had never played FF7 or if I've never played Resident Evil 2.
Yeah, for me, I never play FF7, so it's probably like a good to play it
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
But
Shit.
I don't know. If you played that game, you would probably finish that game and be like, I don't know what the fuck was happening at the end of that, but the rest of it was all right.
Wait, so they didn't complete the whole game, right? FF7 is not completed.
No, they're coming out with like a DLC this summer. It's called Intergrade or something, where you get to play as another Final Fantasy VII character, but it doesn't actually progress the story. I would expect that you would hear something about, the second part of the expansion maybe next year.
Damn, man, that's crazy.
Yeah, I think that if I were them, if I were Square and like, that's a big company. If I were Square, I would have just held on to this game until it was completely finished and put it out on the PS5 or maybe it's up to 6 by the time it's done. But I wouldn't put it out until it was done.
Yeah,
Because then it's a money grab, like then it's like you're
but-
charging me $180 for like a game that should be $70, but you're charging me over time.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy, man. I don't know, man. I played it. I played the demo. I downloaded it, so I have it. It's like in my backlog. I might play it after the Resident Evil because I'm trying to get through the whole Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Especially since 8 is coming out, the Village.
So 8's the one with that chick that's like 8 feet 6 tall.
Yeah, man. I played the demos live. It's only live. I think it's. Oh, I think you missed your chance, man. Like they only gave it out for 24 hours.
I don't know. I mean, like I'll play Resident Evil 8 probably. I like 7. 7 was good. It's just I don't know if it was exactly for me. And for me, it's like when you hit like the pinnacle of the series, like Resident Evil 4 was, it's tough to really hit that pinnacle again. I don't think they did that with 7. 7 was good, but I don't know if they did that.
It was mostly like a first-person shooter, right?
Yeah. No, 7 is kind of like a third person.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this one 8 is like I played it yesterday. It was like a first person. I don't know why, man, but I was like, this looks like Skyrim.
Has Resident Evil ever been first person?
I don't know.
Like
That's because I never played the Resident Evil 7. So I was thinking that Resident Evil 7 was like a first person shooter. So,
nope.
But yeah, man, I'm trying to get through the whole series, man. I gotta get through the second one, the third one, the fourth one. You played the fourth one, man.
Yeah, oh yeah. They remade the third one too, right?
Yeah, they remade the third one, so I'm looking forward to that. And they're gonna apparently, I don't know if this is from memory, but they said they're gonna remake number 4, which I'm like, why would they remake number 4?
See, that's where you get into trouble because a lot of people really love Resident Evil 4.
It's perfect. I thought it was
remake it. I see, like, there's a difference between remaking and remastering. Like if you wanted to like remaster Resident Evil 4, I think everyone would be on board with that. If you
Yeah.
want to remake Resident Evil 4, I don't know. I mean, that game's perfect as is.
Yeah, and I think like I have it for PS4, but I'm pretty sure like they did some like upgrading for the graphics and stuff like that for the new systems. So for me, it's like okay, so if they upgraded the graphics a little bit, it should be fine, like already.
Yeah.
But like I don't see why they will. It's a money grab, man. Like if you play the Resident Evil the Village one, if you play that one, man, that one's like Resident Evil 4.
Well,
You know?
then maybe it'll be a successful launch.
Because this one, the fourth, the eighth, that one has like the same like atmosphere. It's like a village, like the ones that you play in Resident Evil 4.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was playing, I'm like, this kind of feels like, it's got the same vibe of Resident Evil 4. But the
I'm
enemies,
into it. I'll definitely play it for sure.
yeah, man, definitely play it, man. But the enemies are werewolves. I was like, there's like no zombies anymore. It's like werewolves.
Huh.
But yeah, there's that lady with she's like 8 feet
I
tall,
saw
whatever.
they were they put out like all the advertisements with that chick that's like 8 foot tall, and
Yeah.
all these people in Japan are just like I think that's good. It brings excitement to the game. I think Capcom has really had a pretty good set of years the last few years.
Well,
I think that their handling of like Monster Hunter has been awesome. Like it just came out on the
did
Monster
you
Hunter
get that one
Rise.
for it's on Switch, right? The
Not yet, but I hear they came out to pretty positive reception. So I think I might throw that into my my game log. We'll see.
I can't do any new games, man. I have a huge backlog, man. They gave did you play Subnautica? It's like a
Nah.
diving game. They gave
No,
out
I heard good things.
Yeah, they gave out that game for PS. It's just my backlog right now is just too much, man.
I don't know if if you do the same thing as me, where like I'll see a game and I'll buy it, and then I'll see it again in like a year or two, and I'll be playing on a different system, and I'll buy it again, and then like I'll get to a situation where I'm just buying a game because I really enjoyed that game, whenever
Yeah.
I first played it, and I just get to a situation where what am I doing buying this shit? Like I'm never gonna play it. Like what am I doing?
Yeah, well, my strategy now is just to buy games when they're on sale.
Yeah, I think
But
that's definitely the way.
it's
I
just
like if you're like trying to work the GameStop scheme of like, hey, you buy a game, then you send it back, you trade it in for however much it's worth for $30, $40,
five
if that.
dollars.
Yeah, $5 in certain situations. I could see people still doing that, but
Dude, I remember the GameStop. I traded like my whole GameCube collection one time, and they gave me like $30 for like 20 games.
yeah, and I think everyone has their memory of going to GameStop with the game that they bought the previous week, selling their game, and then be like, "Well, that's $5." You're like, "What? Like that cannot be true." And if like if you ever bought sports games, those games are like have no value. But like
Like
I did this,
here's like 20 cents for you.
yeah, I did this a few years ago when Fallout 76 came out. I
Yeah.
like Fallout. I like Fallout the franchise, and I bought it on the first day like a dumb idiot. I went played it for about 2 hours, and I said, "This game blows." I
Yeah.
went back to the GameStop like a week later, and they gave me like $10 for it. And it's like I paid $60 for it at the beginning of the week. And it's like GameStop knew that this game was just a flop. And they're just like, you know what? $10.
And then you leave the store, and then they like put a price tag for like $55 probably.
I've never like people have like a lot of nostalgia for like Blockbuster. And I do too. I love Blockbuster. I don't know if you're the same,
Yeah,
but
Blockbuster was good, man.
yeah, it was cool. And like walking through that store is cool. GameStop is unpleasant. Like, it's completely in disarray. It runs off of pre-orders. It's not a good business model for the store. And of course, people still buy the stock of it. Well, that's a different situation altogether. But like, that company is one of the worst run companies I've ever seen. Of like, they got to, they're doomed pretty much from the start, because like, you know, PS4 or PS5 released a digital release that's $100 cheaper. Why would you buy a more like a disc version if you could just buy, you know, the digital version for
Yeah.
$100 is $100.
Well, I think that they're gonna take a lot of customers from like Hot Topic now because they're selling like all these shirts now and like
That's what like if you've ever been to like an FYE, like that's this all you used to walk in, it'd be like CDs and DVDs, and now
yeah,
you walk in, it's just like merch, like just straight up like t-shirts and like,
keychains and everything.
yeah, it's a complete shell of itself, and that business model is just not, that's nothing.
It's not sustainable, but yeah, man. But for some reason, for some reason, I'm guilty myself, bro, because I bought a GameStop share.
Mhm.
So I'm guilty of that, but
To the
it's still
moon.
there, man. It's like supposedly like. Well, I gotta tell you this. This is like a little bit off the gaming related, but I bought Dogecoin too. I bought like $50 like 2 months ago or something like that. And I
How much is it
completely,
worth?
yeah, and I completely forgot about it, right? I just completely like forgot about it because I throw like $50 here and there for like every coin. And then like I woke up yesterday and then I go on my phone and I see all the memes about Dogecoin. So I go on my account, man, it was like $500, man.
That's nice.
I'm like, how did this happen?
I don't know, that Wall Street bets is like kind of zombieing companies like GameStop and Dogecoin for some reason, but and AMC, I guess. But it's funny because like GameStop, it couldn't be worse run. They couldn't be less deserving of the appreciation. And it's sort of like whenever if GameStop indeed does like make a ton of money and end up having like a even more shares released, we could be getting into a situation where like all these like bros and gamers are just owning GameStop, like just for the complete reckoning of like, you gave me $5 for Fallout 76. Fuck you. I just think it's
Yep.
funny.
Of course, it's funny, man. And they sold like because the price of the share was so high, they sold like 150 million shares or something like that, and they're just like making. I mean, dude, imagine how much money they made, man. Because the stock's still like high, man. It's like almost $200, I think,
Let me take a look. GameStop.
or something like that. Right now, the whole stock market is down, but
154. That's fucking wild. I mean, what was this like? What was this at?
Oh my god.
280. That was the low on April 3rd, 2020. A year later, 1 year later, it's going up for $154. What happened? The company didn't improve.
It's worse than ever, actually.
Yeah.
I think they pay the employees like the manager level. I think they still like get like minimum wage or like a few cents above the other employees.
See, that is the thing I'll miss is going into the GameStop and like walking in and holding on to a game and being like, is this good? Like
Yeah.
I walked up in with Hyrule Warriors. My brother got it for me for last Christmas.
The
And
new
like,
one?
yeah, and Age of Calamity. And I really didn't like that game. I don't know if you're into like warrior games, the hack and slash, the 1 versus 100. I
I
don't
played
love them.
I played the demo. No, it's not my type of games, bro.
Yeah, I don't love them, but I really wanted to play Persona 5 Strikers because I had just played Persona 4 and Persona 5. I walked into the GameStop, I said, how much will you give me for this? They gave me $30, which I was actually pleasantly surprised by.
For
Never
Age of
gotten like 30.
Calamity?
Yeah, because Nintendo games hold their value a
Yeah.
lot longer. But I remember asking, hey, you have Persona 5 Strikers? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, one Warriors game for another. He's like, yeah, but this one's a lot better. And, I'll miss that whenever GameStop does go under.
Yeah,
Is,
because the guys
being
that
able to,
work there, they're actually cool people. Most
they're
of those
gamers.
guys. Yeah.
Like anyone who goes into, a video store, you're going to be able to make suggestions and be like, hey, I watched this and this is good, or this one sucks. I don't know what you're doing. And, the next time that I go in, I'm going to have a little bit more knowledge. I
Yeah.
go into the GameStop and these people are actually pretty knowledgeable about what games they're selling. The unfortunate part is the, the stuff, the way that they're selling it and the way that their model works is just dumb.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder what's gonna happen to them. I mean, they're with their overvalued stock, man. Because that's just basically
there's no way that can be sustained unless, like, I don't know, unless the company gets better.
maybe they could, like, I don't know, if I was a CEO, I guess I would like get some like exclusive games for it,
For a
like,
little while, they hired Reggie. I forget his last, Phil Samay.
oh, the guy from
Yeah,
Nintendo.
he ran Nintendo for a while, or he ran the Americas version of Nintendo.
And what
And
happened?
like he came in to really like advise GameStop, and then he just recently left. So I kind of wonder if there was any
Well,
what he added to the conversation, really.
he was probably like, save yourself, sell those shares and get out.
Say what you will about Reggie, but he was a good hype man for Nintendo.
Yeah.
He walked into that E3 in 2003 and just like came in with a lot of energy and was like, I'm Reggie and I'm going to sell you some fucking games.
I miss those the E3, right?
Yeah. E3 is another one. It's like it's going to die almost certainly. They're going to do a digital event for E3, which to me
For this year, right?
Yeah, and the whole point of E3 is to be a trade
You know what?
show.
It would be cool if we could like do like live stream commentary,
I think that it would be interesting if I just don't know if anyone can really trust E3 because they had that data breach last year or 2 years ago where they gave away all the journalists and all the all the people's like home address and social security numbers and stuff like that. It's like, bro, you can't be doing this anymore. But like big companies, Sony, they don't go to E3 anymore. Like
they don't.
Nintendo used to put up a direct. I don't think that's like they don't need E3 to put out a direct. They just use that as a benchmark to say, hey, let's put out something today. You know what I mean? But there's no law that Nintendo says, hey, I think Nintendo would much rather put out, a Nintendo Direct for like the Game Awards than they would for E3 because E3 is just struggling.
And oh man, I've been Nintendo's like so funny, man. So this guy, I've been going back and forth with this guy, man. I don't know like who it is, but I put out a video about the Metroid Prime 4. I think I mentioned this last time. And this guy, he's still going about it. He's like defending Nintendo. And it's funny because I saw an article that they're still hiring people to make Metroid Prime 4, man.
It just goes to show you that a lot of this stuff is like, that they're not moving in the direction of like appeasing people. Nintendo's never been about that. They're in the direction of like
making money, right?
Yeah, they're waiting to like they want to be able to sell a game for $60 and still sell that game for $60 next year, and
like
still sell that game for $60 2 years from now. And the way that they can do that is by making the game a high quality game.
Yeah.
And maybe Metroid Prime just isn't ready for production. Maybe it's hard for people to admit that, but it's like it's not ready.
But how crazy is that, man? They it's been in development for they announced it 3 years ago, man. Or 2 years.
Yeah, and like in the meantime, they could help fans out of the series and say, hey, here's the trilogy, you know. But and it came out in the Wii U, right? The Metroid Prime trilogy. So it's not even like a difficult port to do. They just don't want to do it.
So lazy, man.
Yeah.
Super low effort, low effort, maximum profits. It makes sense, from
But
like a
it is what it is, and if I want that game, I just have to keep my expectations in check. It's like, do I think that game's going to come out by the end of 2021?
But these guys, I give crap to, I give like a lot of crap to these guys because I'm like, dude, Nintendo's like there's like the Switch is like there what games are coming out, and they're like, oh, there's like Metroid Prime, and I'm like, but when,
What do you expect to come out this year?
Me
Like on Switch.
from
On
Nintendo,
Switch, yeah.
like from that I'm interested in, nothing.
Yeah. Like what do you think is their big release? Like what's Nintendo going to the bank with this year for 2020? Because last year they went to the bank with they were affected by the pandemic. They sold the shit out of Animal Crossing. Game has a targeted audience. Nintendo always has this audience. They capitalize it. They sell the shit out of it. Splatoon 3 isn't going to come out until next year. So what is Nintendo going to come out with in 2021 that's going to make me want to buy a Nintendo game?
Yeah, that's what the guy, this
I don't
guy
know.
is like, this guy saying like, oh, Bayonetta 3 is coming out, but
I
there's
don't think so. I don't think have
no,
they even announced that? No.
he said, and then he's like a 3D Kirby. No, right? I haven't seen
Yeah, but who cares?
Kirby's Kirby, right? It's like
A
it's
Kirby game
it's a
isn't gonna do anything for me.
yeah, like they're good games, but it's not like, oh man, I'm excited for Kirby.
That's a game that I'll play maybe an hour of and be like, all right.
And then he's like Mario Odyssey 2, which has never been mentioned ever.
Never been mentioned. Never been. So I don't expect Nintendo to come out like I did before this year and before the last direct, but I don't expect Breath of the Wild 2 to come out before
Nah,
the end of
that
2020.
what you're crazy, man. That's never coming out, man.
I don't think that Nintendo comes out with a new Mario Kart or a new Super Mario game until the next console generation. Even though
Yeah.
that Super Mario 8 is or Mario Kart 8 is like, a game that didn't really release originally on the Switch, that's the Switch's Mario Kart. And so there's no
Dude,
reason to go out and release a different Mario Kart because Mario Kart 8 is one of the highest sold video games of all time.
yeah, that's literally what they do. They'll tease
Yeah.
like Breath of the
They're like,
Wild,
we can throw this out there.
and then they're gonna release it simultaneously on like Switch and then on the Switch 2 or whatever it's gonna be called.
So I actually think that that's why we haven't heard much from Nintendo as far as like another direct, because I just don't think it happens for a little while. I don't think that they do another direct until I don't think that they do one during the digital E3, and I don't think that they do another direct until at least September.
Until November, right?
Yeah, September, November, somewhere around the holiday season, so that they can say, here's our holiday release of games. This is what we're going to come out with today. Here's your update on Breath of the Wild 2. Here is your update on Splatoon 3. And that's pretty much it. I mean, maybe they're going to come out with something that
They'll release like a random Kirby game or some bullshit like that, like some very random game, like unannounced, and then they'll be like, oh, it's coming out next week.
Yeah, but
But that's
I just don't see it. I'm looking through all the Nintendo franchises, like what I think I'd see very, very soon. Maybe a Bayonetta game, that makes sense, but it's not going to be in 2021.
yeah.
Maybe a Fire Emblem game.
When did Fire Emblem become so popular, man? Like, have you
I
ever?
actually think it was Smash.
Yeah.
I think they came out with Marsh and Roy in Smash Melee, and everyone's like, "Who the fuck are these people?" And they came out with Fire Emblem, and I think they have a very dedicated segment of gamers that
Yeah.
I haven't played the new Fire Emblem, the whatever Four Houses or whatever.
I
Um,
I play like the Game Boy Advance one, but it was like nothing for me, you know.
People really like the new Switch one, and if I were into that sort of game, and maybe this year I might do it, but it'll only be if it was on sale. And as you know, Nintendo games never go on sale.
Yeah.
Maybe they do another Pokemon game. I think reception to like the sales for the most recent Sword and Shield were very, very high, but the reception to those games were very mixed. I think they came
Yeah.
out with kind of a subpar product.
Yeah, it seems like the games were like lacking a lot of a lot of the Pokemon and stuff. I mean, I get it, man. It's just like they have so many Pokemon now that they have to like they should just outsource a lot of the work, but they're like stingy, you know? So
It's difficult though, because Nintendo doesn't they own Pokemon, but they don't own Pokemon. Like
yeah,
they actually already outsource Pokemon. So
yeah,
to outsource like a second game, or that's basically what they did with the new Pokemon Snap. And there's only so much that they can do with that. They're gonna sell a second like Pokemon. I wouldn't be surprised if they remade like whatever. Like, did you ever play Let's Go Pikachu or Let's Go Eevee?
yeah. I played that one. It was pretty amazing when it came out, man. You know?
It's fun. It's like the original Red and Blue, but
Yeah,
it's a little different in that you don't really battle Pokemon, but it's like you do, you don't, and like catching Pokemon is like different, but like I could see them doing something like that with whatever the next Pokemon game is after that. Was it Diamond and
there's
whatever
they're remaking Diamond
Silver?
and Pearl.
I could see them do. What I'm saying is, I could see Nintendo doing that and saying to run it off the same engine that they did with Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, run it off that, and put that game out with new Pokemon. That's what I could see Nintendo doing this year. I could be
Yeah,
wrong about that, but if we come to November and that's one of the main Nintendo releases, there you go. Nintendo is kind of like, this is their way of saying, yeah, we get it. We need to release a new game, but no, we're not going to rework a new Pokemon game. We'll
we're just we're
rework
just
a
we're
really,
just
really
gonna
old
change a
one.
few assets here and there.
Yeah, and we'll sell this game to you for $65. That's another thing I expect this year from Nintendo too. Is like I kind of expect them to say, hey, we'll sell games $70 now.
Well, I can't believe they're releasing Skyward Sword for full price, man.
It's not unnecessary, but that's what they're gonna do. Is they're gonna keep coming out with old games, which makes sense, but like coming out with old games and kind of remastering them to sort of fill out their lineup, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And people defend them, bro. They're like, I criticize them because I'm like, man, just make like a lot of they have a lot of series, you know. Did you ever play the Advance Wars? They completely left those Golden Sun too. Those
Yeah,
are
so
fun,
I
man.
was just about to bring up Golden Sun. I loved Golden Sun, and
It's
I think
fucking
that they could.
great, man.
I think if they made a new Golden Sun, that game would be awesome. And like, just make that into a Switch game, But I don't see it. Like Nintendo makes games that like will sell well, and I just don't think that Golden Sun is going to sell enough to really justify a full blown Switch remaster or sequel.
Yeah. Maybe,
Like
man.
when's the
Maybe
when's the last Golden Sun game that came out?
there was one for I think the Nintendo DS.
It was 2010, and like the original one, the 2001 original release for GBA was awesome. It's a
Yeah.
it's stunning that they like maybe they had an issue with their developer Camelot, but my God, guys, figure it out.
Dude, that game was just like for me when I just remember playing it, man. I was like, man, this is like and then they announced the second one was like the continuation of
The
the
second one.
first one. And just the story, man, and like the massive world, it's just like
Yeah,
Wow.
it's yet another RPG that Nintendo came out with, very similar to Earthbound, that they just didn't cultivate and
I
expand.
saw that. Are you like an Earthbound fan? I'm
What?
not. Do you play Earthbound a lot?
Yeah, I mean, I played the original Earthbound. I loved it on SNES. Uh, the game is weird and interesting, and it's kind of like in the vein of other SNES games like Chrono Trigger, but it was Nintendo's own little world that was surprising because they've never released a kind of a game that's like that, and they haven't again. Because Mother 3, a game that they came out with in what 2000 whatever, they definitely missed the boat there.
Yeah, I saw something about like says that guy Reggie he trolled Mother 3 fans.
I saw that tweet. He's such a dick.
Well, can you explain? I only saw that, but I didn't get it.
So everyone asked Reggie, when are you going to come out with Mother 3? And when he left the company, everyone kind of half expected that Mother 3 was going to come out, when he on his last day or something like that. But he's been sort of trolling any person who brings up Mother 3 to
Yeah.
kind of like, and maybe it's like, it's a joke for him, but for people who really love the Earthbound, game, it's a fucking disgrace that they haven't like come out with it. They haven't localized. It's not even that hard. All you have to do is move the code over and translate it. That's it. The game is out in Japan, but like there's no way they missed the boat now. But Reggie just
Oh,
likes to kind of rock the boat and be a man of the people, which he is.
dude, they'll release it and charge like $65 for it.
Good. I would pay that. I would pay that, but I don't
That's a
know.
new game, so yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, like for those who speak Japanese, go fucking buy it.
yeah, that's crazy, man. Yeah, but yeah, man. So yeah, it was nice. It was a nice conversation that we had today, man. We went a little bit 10 minutes over the previous one. So
Nice.
yeah, yeah. So we'll definitely, I'm trying to get Sal, perhaps Sasha. I don't know if Sasha's a big talker about gaming, about
I
games.
think I think if we get Sasha or Sal on, we can really talk about like Metal Gear Solid and like some Uncharted games and
Metal Gear
some of
Solid
the some of
5.
the some of the more higher end PlayStation games we can really get into.
Yeah, Metal Gear Solid 5. Man. Sasha loves that game, man. God damn.
Maybe I need to go replay it because I didn't.
He told me it was basically, what did he say? He said it was like, I love the PSP. I don't know if you had a PSP ever.
I had it. I can't remember. I think the last game I ever played on that was Crisis Core, but it's
So
been a
he's,
while.
yeah, he said basically that game, well, there's a Metal Gear called Peace Walker, which is really good, man. I love that game.
Never played it.
So he told me it's basically that, but on a PS5 with like a bigger map and everything. And
I
it's
think we
like
can get.
it was $2 at one point, and I still didn't buy it, man.
It's just got a whatever. You know what? Nah.
Yeah.
Too rich for my blood.
I was just like, it's just gonna sit on my game collection. And I'm gonna like hate myself for not playing it ever because I just don't have any desire to play it.
Yeah.
But maybe I'll play it when I go to his apartment, sometime and like just boot it up and see what's up. I
Yeah, and
don't.
if you ever get to play like a multiplayer like third person shooter, he's pretty good at those.
Yeah, no, those are fun, man. Third person shooters.
Yeah. That's that's it.
Uncharted.
That's his jam.
What about? I think Sal plays a lot of Monster Hunter.
He plays Rocket League like no one's business too.
Yeah, I played that. Sasha bought it for me actually.
I think I played around with it a few times and I realized like a lot of people are just better than me at this.
Yeah, I see a lot of people. You have to be very skillful for that game.
Yeah, I think I need to invest a lot of time into that to really get into that game.
Yeah.
Like any
So
game.
yeah, right now I'm invested already with Warzone. That game requires a lot of skill, man. It's first person shooter. It's fun, but Sometimes you just get like, those games where you just like get angry with playing with people.
Any game where I have to talk to other people, it's just drives me crazy. I remember when I was a kid when I was playing Madden against some random people, like I'd get online and there'd be some people that had I'd have like a pretty nice conversation, same as you and me, and then there's
Yeah.
some people like I'm gonna fuck your shit up, and then I score a touchdown against them, they log off and rage quit. It's just like, you know what, fuck you, bro, fuck you, and thanks for wasting my time.
It's the same with FIFA, man. If you play FIFA, that's the worst game to play online, man. Like,
Yeah, and then you get a lot of people who obviously they're not going to speak your language, so they you have no idea what they're saying to you. They could be calling your mother you know what.
yeah, but just like sometimes you play with people that that's all they do, man. They just play that fucking game the whole day, and they'll beat your ass, man, like 10-0, and you're like, what the fuck, man? I'm not, I don't know, man. I'm not that type of, well, I'm gonna try to get back into No Man's Sky. They released like a new update. Did you ever play that one, man?
I never played it.
Dude, No Man's Sky is fucking. I
So
think
so
it's
what is that game like? Because I remember that's another one that sort of in the vein of like Final Fantasy 14. They sort of bring it back, they re-release it again as sort of like a new version, and it does a lot better, right?
yeah, man. This game, basically, it's basically its own galaxy, so you can explore like every star in the galaxy. There's two galaxies now, so you can go into any star in the map. You go there, and then every star has like a different set of planets. Some have like three, four, five, six, or whatever, and all of them are different. Some are like desert, some are like the Earth, some are like snowy, some are like just like lava planets. It's pretty cool,
Is
and
it
it's
is it worth playing now,
yeah, man.
or not? We
Especially
use the
now,
match.
especially now because they keep coming up with all these expansion packs, and they're free. So I started playing in 2017, I think, 2 years after it was released, man. And
So you probably came around at the right time for it.
yeah, because they already fixed it a little bit, but since 2017 to now, they just released like an update. The updates are massive, so they do like, so you can do a lot of things. You can do base building, you can explore, you can do fighting, you can do, I mean, so much stuff you can do. But I like the base building aspect, to be honest. So it's kind of like Minecraft, but in space, kind of something like that.
I might have to give it a shot.
It's a good, it's a laid back game. So there's no like a lot of pressure. It's not action based. So
It's kind of a more relaxing,
I would
Stardew
say
Valley
so.
type thing.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
Nice.
But it's kind of crazy just to see all the worlds that like the computer generates and stuff like that. So and you can get, there's like creatures and everything. I don't know, man. It's massive. So yeah, I might get back. I have like 200 hours logged into that game. That's one of my games
Nice.
that I have like the most logged hours. What about you? Any games that you have like the most?
The most logged hours I have in any game is Destiny 2 for sure.
Destiny
Destiny
2.
2 can like completely siphon off a part of your time because there's some weekly things that you have to do in order to, get titles and, get the best weapons and best gear and all that. And there are some things like, raids and dungeons where in order to learn them, in order to get them, you have to put in a lot of time to,
Mm.
learn, and you learn with groups. And like you said earlier, learning with people, not exactly the easiest, unless you get someone that's really patient and like can teach you some of it. And like a lot of times I kind of enjoy that, to like help out someone who's like, hey, I've never done this before. And I'm like,
Yeah,
okay,
somebody.
I can show you to do this, and it makes me feel smart. Uh, but also it makes me feel like I've kind of done them like a nice solid, and maybe I put that into the universe to next time whenever But like I also probably put in about 200 hours into Breath of the Wild, just
Yeah, Breath of the
uncovering
Wild
every
too.
shrine and going and finding every Korok seed and all that.
Yeah, Breath of the Wild too, man. I have like about 200 hours. I
And
started
I
like
could
a
probably play more, honestly.
yeah, it's a
But
that's
what
a
I wouldn't give to see that game again with fresh eyes.
yeah, that's the thing, man. You always want to see the game like that, with
Yeah.
fresh eyes. So
I,
yeah,
I I actually think that and this might be a hot take, the Wii U version of Breath of the Wild, I think is actually kind of better because you get like the map in your handset and like the TV. I played it again on Switch, and it's still fun, still hits all the. But I actually think that the Wii U version has like a little bit more features to it,
yeah, because
which
you
is
can
weird
just like switch stuff there, right? With
on your
the
hand, and then do
yeah.
it, and then look on the TV and see what's going on. I don't know.
How many of the you're probably one of the very few people on this planet that has that the Wii
I
U.
so my here's what happened is my brother, he has a Wii U, but I don't. So
Yeah.
he's like, you need to play Breath of the Wild. I know you're not going to buy a Switch for another few months, but you need to play this game now because it's the best Zelda game. And I said, whoa, that's that's a big statement, to say it's better than Ocarina of Time, to say it's better than Majora's Mask, to say it's better than Link's Awakening. That's a big statement,
Yeah.
and I really enjoyed it. It's pretty close.
To be in your favorite Zelda ever.
Yeah, and favorite Zelda ever means probably best game ever.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I would say it's definitely up there, man. For me, I guess just like playing Ocarina of Time when I was like younger, it was just mind blowing, to
I
see that kind of
totally
stuff.
hear that. And like when what's interesting too is when I played Majora's Mask the first time, I hated it because it wasn't Ocarina of Time, and because I loved Ocarina of Time, because I love Link to the Past, because it was so different. And when I came back to it, a decade later, I'm like, wow, this game is so awesome. How did I miss this game?
Yeah, having the time limit and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's such a darker universe, whereas like Ocarina of Time is a very straightforward sort of story, but
There's a lot of like game theories about the Majora's Mask, man. They get pretty deep, man.
the Skull
Have you
Kid.
ever Skull Kid? Just a lot, man. I've seen a few of those, and I'm just like, man, this guy is like a crazy man to think of like deep.
That game is dark as hell.
Yeah. But it's a great game, man.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite Zelda. I
Do you
always
ever play?
wonder,
Do you ever play Link Between Worlds?
nah, not yet.
It's so good. It's like a Link to the Past sequel, which you might think, well, that's Ocarina of Time, but it's
Yeah,
not. It's completely separate, like sort of second game to a Link to the Past, where you can travel as Link. You travel between walls, and you travel
mhm.
like on the wall. It's strange, and it sort of makes you kind of rethink a lot of puzzles, and it's interesting. I might have to lend it to you because it's that
Does
good.
does it have the same map?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
It's a more 3D map. It's very, very
it-
good.
is the story interesting? Like,
Yeah, yeah. Without spoiling too much, because like I said, I'll lend it to you if you want. But it's
yeah,
it's it's so good.
huh? Yeah, but I have to. I haven't played like that one. Um, but yeah, man, those Zelda games are just like very well done, man. I might give a chance to Skyward Sword, if I can
We'll
get a
see.
copy for like $20 at some day,
Never gonna happen.
which is never gonna happen. Yeah, the Breath of the Wild too. Have you ever seen the timeline? Like,
I have the my wife bought me the Hyrule Historia. I think it's back there actually.
yeah,
It's interesting. It's how that all makes sense, like the timeline that Ocarina of Time breaks the
it's
game and
interesting, man.
breaks it
How
into
they
three timelines. But I don't really know where Breath of the Wild really fits in. Like, is it after? Like,
well,
is that if Link loses in the battle, or if he wins but grows up? I don't know.
Well, Breath of the Wild is in the one of the first ones, right? I think. I
I
think
think
the
Breath of the
very,
Wild is
I think the
supposed to
very
be
first Zelda game, Skyward Sword.
the first. I don't know. It's where I think it fits in the timeline. The Breath of the Wild, I think it fits at the very end.
At the
Like
very end.
like if all timelines were to converge again, like Ocarina of Time, but if the child timeline and adult timeline sort of converge into this, it's 1,000 years later, and Link's been thrown into whatever, fallen asleep or carbonite or whatever bullshit. He comes out, and guess what? Zelda is in the castle. Ganon's got her hostage. Classic, that it
What a
happens.
coincidence.
That's always like what intrigues me about Zelda games too, is like the story for most Zelda games is pretty bad.
Yeah.
But but like the gameplay on those games are so good that I don't care.
It's super generic storyline, but it
Yeah.
works, man.
They have done literally the same story for like the Legend of Zelda at least like 7-8 times, where like Zelda is in trouble, you have to go save her from Ganon.
You know which one's one of
I
my
think that's why people like Wind Waker, honestly.
yeah, one of my most underrated Zelda games is Phantom Hourglass.
Hourglass. Yeah.
That game was like one of my favorite Zelda games, man.
I never played it.
It's very underrated. It's like it's definitely not on the you rarely see it on the top. But if you have a chance to play it, that one and Spirit Tracks are really good, man.
I never played Spirit Tracks either. Those are the
Yeah.
only. I think those are the only two games, because I played Zelda too. I played Link's Awakening. I played Link to the Past, and I did play Skyward Sword. I played Breath of the Wild. It's I played most of them, but not those two. I'll have to check those out, because
Yeah.
I'm pretty much into that series and what that series can bring to the table.
Yeah, man. It's definitely interesting. So I recommend that, man. One day if they ever do like I've been thinking about buying some virtual reality thing.
Did you ever own a Virtual Boy?
No.
It's that so uh the inventor of the Game Boy was so insanely successful. He invented the Virtual Boy. It's this red, I don't know, like viewer thing that sat on a stand, and like my brother and I begged my dad to buy it for us, and so he did, and it was like $250, and or whatever it was. And we get it. We played a few games, and like if you've ever owned a Virtual Boy, you know that the only thing that you see after you play that is red. You just look into this thing, and if you look into it for an hour, you're just like, this thing is going to give me like cancer or something. Like,
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It probably
yeah,
fucking like destroys your eyesight, man.
yeah. I'm pretty sure that's why my brother needs glasses.
But the new ones, well, I'm waiting because I think if the PS5, if they come up with some virtual reality, I'll get that instead of I think the best one's the Oculus, I think, or something like that.
Isn't that the one that's owned by Facebook?
No, there's one that's owned by Microsoft. The best one is owned by Microsoft, I think. But
Yeah.
I tried it one time, man, like 3-4 years ago. I can imagine what it's like now. Like
I
even
do
back.
think that it's a niche market, but at the same time, there's a lot of VR games that people say, especially in PlayStation, that people say are worth checking out. Like I think there's
Yeah,
Astro
yeah.
Boy that's on VR. There's I forget what other PlayStation game, but yeah, and my little brother often plays it, and there's definitely some cool stuff on there that you know isn't possible in your normal console experience.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think that's gonna be the future eventually. I
Could
think
be.
I could be wrong, but I feel like there's gonna be like a major integration as of when they become cheaper, maybe, the glasses and stuff like that.
I do think that is like an idea that I think Nintendo finds its way into. Is like that sort of technology, that handheld technology, that's only going to go so far. And like Nintendo knows that. But I think that,
But
at some point they might want to dabble into the virtual reality. We'll
but
see.
being Nintendo, it's gonna look like an N64 game,
Yeah.
It's gonna be
It's
like
not going to be your graphic masterpiece that a PS4 or Microsoft game is.
it's gonna be like $100, but it's gonna look like something from like the N64 era. Everything's
Yeah,
gonna be like fucking squares and shit.
it'll be like, here's Mario VR, and it'll be Mario 64.
Yeah. All right then, man. I gotta go, bro. But it was fun doing the podcast, man. So definitely we'll do it again. And if you guys enjoyed it, you please like it and subscribe to the channel. I know you guys, I've been getting some very good feedback, so it's always good to know. So thank you guys. Until the next one. Bye bye.